I'll be taking you guys on an adventure with me to some public lands. I'll be basically just going over some post/pre-season kind of scouting, I guess you could say. It'd be more of a getting to know an area better. For those of you who are just starting out hunting, this is the best way to know, basically get more educated on where you're going to be hunting, what you're going to be looking for, where you'd like to be setting up at. And that's the biggest thing when becoming a new hunter. You don't know what you're doing. And so start early as possible, is to get out in the woods anytime you have days off. Like today is one of my days off during a weekday and in this month. I am very fortunate to be working in the post office, so I can get 2 to 3 days off during the week where there won't be, or 2 to 3 days in a month to have days off in a week, so I can have this opportunity to go out into public lands with no one around. That being said, taking full advantage of that, of no one being there. That way I'm not messing with someone else's hunt, or say they're doing their own kind of scouting, I'm not getting in their way, whatever. Let's see. Also, I'll be going through like steps and processes of just beginning to hunt for the new hunter, how to get into hunting. Biggest thing is, when I first got into hunting, I had a friend tell me, just go get a license and go out and go hunting. It's that easy. I was like, oh, is that easy? I'm like, awesome. And I'm big into research. And let's just say there was a lot more than just getting a license and going hunting. It was hunter's education, because I was still under the age at the time to just go get a license and go out and hunt. I had to go through hunter's education. That is a process. It is a well-worth process. I highly suggest it, even if you are above the age. It gives you lots of ins and outs and what to do and what not to do. It's very good stuff, good information, even though I knew a good handful of it because I'm in the military still. I'm in the National Guard, so I know all about gun safety and how to properly arm and disarm a firearm. But when it comes to bows, broadheads, and all that kind of stuff, it was new to me because I've never touched a bow when I first started doing hunter's education. So it could be a great learning experience, whether new, old, decrepit. I'm just kidding. But seriously, hunter's education is the biggest thing, first thing that you should do. Then you get licensed. Awesome. You have a license. Don't forget the hunting methods or the tags. Another important thing. I almost forgot that before I went hunting my very first year. And I was like, oh crap. I saw something about tags. I'm like, wait a second. What's this tag thing? So I looked it up. I called a game warden, because when in doubt, call someone. Ask for help. Don't just jump into something. And you need to put your feet in the water and test it out. Call someone. Study up. It's better to be prepared than not prepared at all. Biggest motto. And I'd say after the whole getting licensed tags and all that, I'd say it's get in the woods. What I did was, I am fortunate enough that my father-in-law has 7 huntable acres. So deer come out of the woodland areas throughout the neighbor's property to come to our yard. So I got lucky. I just went out there and I just shot a deer. And I just ran, like literally, deer ran out in the open. I ran out, shot the deer 60-something yards. It was not a great hunting experience for me. I was like, that was the only deer I got that year. I was pretty disappointed. I was like, well, there's more to this, surely. And I dove deep into YouTube and all this to basically excel my learning curve, because I'm once I found out there's bigger opportunities other than gun, I was like, man, I'm getting in on it. Now I'm a hardcore bow hunter. I just bow hunt for the most part, because it's something new to me, and it gets my adrenaline going when I see a deer up close. It's so worth it to see how they react and everything, just based off like the surroundings. It's amazing, honestly. And once I got into bow hunting, it was all, I would say, uphill more than downhill, because there's a lot to learn about arrows, like arrow grains, spines, what bow to use, what bow to get. I started with a hand-me-down. You can start with any bow, and you can start with any rifle. Say if you're just a rifle hunter, or you want to just start out rifle, perfect, that's fine. Do whatever you're comfortable with. But that's the biggest thing, is get out in the woods. And you need to study, not just study like, let's say, hunting methods, or like tree saddle hunting. Ooh, can't talk. Ooh, that's why I have this energy drink. Oh. Try to wake me up. But tree saddle hunting, or box blind, or hell, just sitting in a pail at the bottom of a tree. It doesn't matter how you hunt. I don't care. It's hunting. Hunting is hunting. It's important. It's conservation. Keep these deers from getting out in the road in these vehicles as much. Or say having an overpopulated area and not getting the proper nutrients. It's a huge thing to me. And it's another thing, when you dive down this rabbit hole of hunting, you learn a lot more than just the killing and the feeding or the meat aspect of it. It's a way bigger thing. It's really therapeutic to me, honestly. And that's what I'm all about. Trying to get people out in the woods and feel how I feel. It feels amazing just to be out there. Even when I don't get anything or harvest anything, or I capture moments. Those moments are priceless. No one can take those away. No one will know how that feels unless you're out there. And I say, go out there and see how it feels. Feel that cool breeze while you're in the tree, or in a blind, or while it's still hunting, or walking around. That's what they call it, still hunting. Walking slowly around in the woods, and just feel the cool breeze, rustling of leaves, not knowing whether it's a raccoon, a squirrel, or even a deer. It's a great feeling to just go out in the woods and be one with nature. And for anybody who's getting into it, I highly recommend just doing your best to get out in the woods on days off. I know some people, they work 6-7 days a week. That's understandable. On days off, maybe go during the day, like say kids are napping or something. I mean, I completely understand having kids and trying to get out in the woods. I have 4 kids, and anytime like I'm off during the weekdays or a holiday, I'm like, hey, I know, hon, could you stay here with the kids while I go out and do some scouting for an hour or so, or depending how far you have to drive for public land. I'm sure your wife would be understanding, or spouse, whether you're a wife trying to convince your husband to do so. What say you? I mean, just try to compromise. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the biggest thing. Is I wouldn't say just say, hey, I gotta go. don't say that. I mean, that's what I tried doing when I first got in, and it did nothing but cause heartaches. And I'm not going to go off this tangent any deeper, because eventually I'm going to do a video with my wife and me, and what she expected of when I started hunting, what I expected, and how we end up afterward, after a couple of years of me hunting, and how we worked through all that and figured our system out, and see how it would help others going through the same situation. Because hunting, it's a big hobby. Yes, it could be expensive if you wanted to, and it's really time consuming. It is. It requires a lot of time. And that's why it makes it so magical as well when you do harvest. It's a lot of hard work with a lot, I'd say, with a lot of treasured memories, and you could come out with, yes, you could say a trophy. Awesome. Basically, it's just memorabilia. So you can pass down that wonderful experience to loved ones. That is something special. That's gold to me. Passing down something to generations that could alter life itself, or change how hunting in itself could be so much better, and influence others to be great morally and ethically in their whole lives. Because the whole aspect of hunting is basically, my opinion, I think hunting is to make a well-structured person who is morally and ethically, and also to be very have a lot of integrity as well. It basically builds just a great, outstanding individual of a role model for younger people to respect the land, respect the animals, respect each other. It's the biggest thing. But I keep going off tangents. That's what it is. I'm on a drive. It's like a 40 minute drive from where I live to go to this public land. So hope you don't mind me talking. I'm just having y'all get to know me, and basically what I am trying to influence others is get into hunting, get into what I love. And if you love it, awesome. I mean, you don't have to dive off the deep end. You can go get used bows or really cheap bows online. I don't care. Hunting is hunting. You're getting out. You're trying your best to try something new. That's how I felt. I started the same way. I had a hand-me-down bow, and I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I'll be going through learned experiences with y'all, and how to try to not go down the same road I did. Try to give you the learning curve that I wish I had. It was rough. It was very rough. So once you get all that and you're able to go out in the field, you're about able to say, but do what we're doing. We're about to do some scouting. Awesome. So let's do some scouting, and we'll do that and say, once you are done scouting, see where you want to set up. You know what you're going to be hunting. Awesome. So you got to hunt with something. You got to figure out your method of hunting, whether it be bow, muzzleloader, gun, or whatever you'll be using that's legal. Crossbow, whatever, I don't care. My wife uses a crossbow. But make sure you get the weapon. Make sure you practice with it. I'm being serious. Like, make sure you sight anything you have in. You make sure you get a good shot, whether a really consistent shot. And once you practice, at least, if you're going to start in the middle of hunting season, I'd say bow's your best bet. bow is your best bet probably. Or if you already have a gun, I say go for it. But make sure you're sighted in properly. You use the right rounds. You look at your regulations. Make sure that you're using the right size round. I think you can technically use 223, or I use 5.56, but you can use 223 technically on deer. But anything 30 caliber and up is the best way to go. Like 308 and up. I say you can still do it. Cool. I've seen people kill deer with 22. I'm like, or not, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Well, hey, they got it done. They got a deer, one shot. Can't knock them for it. They did it legally, and it was a lethal shot. So, hey, I'm not hating. But make sure you practice. Get a consistent shot. And then basically you wait till that time to go on the woods for your proper hunting times, seasons. You look at your regulations of some public lands only use bow and shotgun. Some use all three, or some just use gun. It just depends. You have to look up each wildlife management area's regulations as well. It's a lot of studying. It's a lot of research. It's a lot of time. Worth it. In my opinion, it's worth it. Don't forget also how much orange, if you're hunting in gun season, you have to wear orange. It's important, and it's very important. And sorry, sun's in my eyes. Don't forget to also not just have you bring your ammo, you bring the right amount. You don't just bring one arrow, you don't just bring one round. Because say if that I messed up there before, I only brought one arrow, I'm like, oh, surely this will be enough. No, it's not very ethical. I messed up before. It was really bad. I brought one arrow to the field. I was young in the sport and dumb. I had no idea what I was doing. No one to really teach me. Bring at least 3 or 4 arrows, at least. You never know, okay? Let's do things a little more ethically, and make a bad shot, you can follow up, even with a gun or anything like that. Come on, people. I know I did it, but I didn't have much common sense in the sport of hunting. My family never hunted. I had to figure this out all by myself, essentially. Because I had a friend that hunted. He didn't do it as often as I thought he did. And I was like, oh, he's a role model. Turns out he was just really getting into it himself. And didn't know a whole lot either. Which is fine. It was great to have someone be there to somewhat walk me through the steps and what to do. And he did know how to butcher, which was awesome. So when you do harvest, it's a really big thing to know what you're going to do after you harvest. Are you going to take it to butcher shop? Are you going to do it yourself? If you want, leave a comment. I could show you how I do it. I do a gutless method now, and whenever, say I want some really nice tomahawk steaks, I will hang it from a tree or something. So if you want me to show you how to do that, leave a comment, or whatever, and I'll show you guys how to do that. I'm just going to take y'all through all these big steps, what it means to be a role model in the hunting world, and somewhat know what you're doing. That way you're not just, it's not thrown at you and walking in blind, essentially. So, alright, so you take in the proper stuff, you go in and you hunt. Now you gotta sit still. Very still. Or if you're walking, you still hunt, you move very slow. I'll just grab your bow and lift it up. Just move very slow. Heck, sometimes I would go in without a weapon and just make movements, like I'm grabbing my bow and pulling back. Yes, I may not be hunting. It may waste time. At the same time, if it's like a fawn and a doe, I know I won't kill. I just pretend like I am, and I just hold up bare hand. I pretend like I'm pulling back. See if they catch me. If they don't, I'm moving very well, because those eyes, I feel like, are a little bit better than a buck's. Practice is what that is. That is practicing without wasting an arrow, without drawing back, and possibly dry firing. It's the thing with bows is practice, and part of practicing is always putting an arrow in your bow so you don't dry fire it. I dry fired one bow of mine, and I got really lucky. I didn't crack the limbs or dent up the cams. My gosh, I got lucky. I was just shooting with my brothers with our bows, and I'm just sitting there laughing, having a good time. I didn't put an arrow in. I thought I did. I just pulled back, and I'm like, man, something's off. Put my eye on the peep, and I just released. It happens. Same time, every time you fire a bow, it needs that arrow to distribute or to push that weight through the string out the bow, or else it could damage your bow severely, and you'll probably have to pay $200 to $500 in damage. Not worth it, and honestly, not worth the time. If you're only going to you're going to have your bow first time, please try not to dry fire. Always make it a thing. Every time you're just standing there, you put an arrow in. After you shoot, put an arrow in. Make it would be a natural thing. And when you go hunting, going straight into when you're hunting, and you make a shot and say it's a bad shot, you'd already be used to just going ahead and put another arrow on. Just saying. Consistency. Eventually, you'd get into a groove of like, all right, sweet. I'm getting the hang of this. It's coming natural. That's the thing. It's muscle memory. That's the biggest thing. Muscle memory. Consistency. So, yeah. That's basically a good chunk of it, of how to get in the woods, when you get in the woods, and what to do after. We'll figure that one out, because I have to harvest a deer to show you how I do that. I'll have to wait probably till beginning of hunting season, or I could, if you throw down a comment if you want to see me do that with a pig. I know some buddies who have some farms, and I can go to a farm and I can take out one of their wild pigs if you want me to. I mean, if there's enough comments, I'll definitely do it, but I have a lot of plans this summer. But yeah, leave a comment, say, hey, I would like to see you butcher up a pig. And when you butcher one animal, it's very similar to all the others. It's nothing crazy. I could do, say, if I get a couple pigs, I can show you how I do my hanging method and how I do gutless. They all work. You may not get as much meat out of the gutless because you're just leaving the guts in. That's fine. But I can show you how to do both. Leave a comment. And that being said, like and subscribe as well if you can. It would help out the channel. I mean, just to spread it to everybody else. So a lot more people become aware of all this. New hunters, older hunters who are seeking out more education in the process of hunting. Cool. I mean, the more information out there, the better. The more knowledgeable we are, the more we can pass down for many a generation. Let's see. So we went harvesting, and then basically it comes down to just take it to the table. And I personally am going to also show how I make my steaks. My wife loves them. Like, and certain things we cook with are venison or even mixed venison with pork, like pig. It's so good. It's my favorite mix, deer and pork. So good. So yeah, we'll also make videos on how to prep food and say how to make beef jerky. It's not as expensive as you think. And the thing about harvesting and butchering your own, you're saving anywhere from $100 to $150 on basic cuts. That's a lot of money saved. You're basically just buying tags, cutting up your own meat, and then taking it home. You know who handled it. That's my biggest thing. I know who handled my meat. It's me. It's my meat. Well, probably more my wife's than mine. But that being said, it's basically all I had for this ride. Here soon, I'll be pulling into public land, and I'll take you on this little nature walk. Open field. That's a transition area right there. And beyond that, of course, is the woods. Those are some of the best areas, I feel like, or to start, are transition areas. Some open area, and make sure you follow some tracks. You'll see where they like to frequent. That's the biggest key. Looks like some already cut down trails. That's a good sign. You see a deer just chilling up there. Right there. Don't worry, I'll come back for you. Eventually. Alright. We are in the wooded area. The thing I've learned, a really good thing I learned in the military is walk a little bit, stop, kind of sound like a deer, because they don't just keep on trailing and walking, making noise. Stop, look, listen, smell sometimes. It saves me more times than not. Because when you stop, sometimes they'll get up from the bedding and look around. They won't stay laying the whole time. You won't walk past them. This right here is a good sign of a buck. Rub probably was a scrape at some point. And if there's more than one, there should be more than one. See one, there's more. Should be making a rub line. This is what I'm talking about. That's a good sign. There's the trails I'm talking about. When you're scouting, take your time. Look at all the evidence, the research you're finding. And also, sometimes just take a break. Sit down. Soak it in. Soak up nature and all of its beauty. Yeah, there may be trees down everywhere, some trash every once in a while, but it's nature. You just gotta enjoy it sometimes. Lay down and chill. It's beautiful. I'll flip this camera around real quick so you can see. Soak it in sometimes. I might see an antler over there. I want to go check it out. It's a cool thing about this. You soak it in, look around, find the evidence. Sometimes you run across a bunch of little footprints. Some scat, acorns, potato. Big trail right there.
Deers like to walk on the edge of a tree line. And just right down there, it's water, river. So you see them coming up from the water. Well, finally found a spot to put up my trail camera. The thing about trail cameras on public land is you don't know if someone's going to take it or not, or if they're going to delete your memory card. This is how public land is. Take a gamble, I guess. Worth a shot.